Today we're going to discuss how to make a custom Ubuntu distribution using Qbit. In this particular video, we will make a custom Join 16.3 live ISO that you can use to boot up a custom operating system off of a CD, DVD, or flash drive, the medium of your choice. We'll discuss how to add custom programs and wallpapers. So you can basically carry your own little operating system wherever you need to go. Just a quick warning about using this tutorial. Linux Live USB flash drives are supposed to be safe and not make any changes to the host system configuration or drives without user intervention. Linux cannot natively access a BitLocker encrypted drive. However, one technically savvy user said after using the flash drive created with this tutorial a couple of times, SecureBoot detected a configured change and BitLocker required the key to be inputted before allowing the user to boot into Windows. BitLocker will also ask for your key if it detects an unauthorized attempt to access your hard drive, and the flash drive that we create in this tutorial should not do that, but I could not think of any other way to explain what happened. So just to be on the safe side, I wanted to warn y'all that it can happen. I know in File Manager you can actually click on your drive to try to see the files on your drive in File Manager on this USB flash drive, and I suppose that might could cause this issue, and we'll talk about what safeguards you can take to prevent this issue or work around this issue if this issue does occur for you guys. So just to be on the safe side, we're going to be safety conscious and consider the possibility that this issue can happen, and we're going to back up the BitLocker recovery key, which you'll need to do if you use Windows 10 or higher. To do that, you just tap the Windows Start button and type in BitLocker. You're going to select the Manage BitLocker control panel app from the list of search results. In the BitLocker app, you're going to select Backup Your Recovery Key. You're going to select where you want the key to be backed up and how you want it to be backed up. You can choose to save to the Microsoft account, save to the USB drive, or point the key. For extra safety, I do recommend doing all three methods because Microsoft cannot provide, recreate, or replace BitLocker recovery keys. If you do lose your key, you can still access Windows with a system refresh, but it resets your system to the factory default state and you will lose your personal data and files if you choose to do a system refresh. And to be extra safe, you can also consider, and I do recommend doing this, saving your personal documents and files to a USB drive and or the cloud using a service like Dropbox or OneDrive. Or to be extra safe, you can buy an external USB hard drive and get in the habit of using Clonezilla to make an image of your entire computer at least once a month. There are plenty of tutorials online on how to use Clonezilla. I personally use Dropbox and Clonezilla for extra safety. You can also consider using this flash drive on an old computer you don't use anymore just for extra safety and precautions. The objectives that we're going to cover in this tutorial include installing Qbit, which is the software we're going to use to make our own custom Ubuntu-based ISO. We're going to download a Ubuntu distribution called Join from join.com. We're going to open up the ISO that we downloaded into Qbit so we can modify it and add our custom programs and wallpapers. We're going to make a user to install and run RetroPie because you cannot install RetroPie as root and expect the controllers and the program to work correctly, we're going to install the RetroPie software prerequisites. We're going to then clone and install RetroPie from GitHub. Then we're going to install the PlayStation emulator. We're going to install the Sega Dreamcast emulator. And also we're going to install the GameCube and Wii emulator, prerequisites and emulators. Part 2 objectives that will be covered in this video include how to install the controller to be interactive in GameCube, a caution regarding downloading the game ROM because they are illegal to download unless you actually own a physical copy of the game. We're going to discuss where to download the ROM from, how to download them, how to copy those ROMs to the ISO if you wish, how to download and add wallpapers to the ISO that we're creating. We're going to discuss how to set the login screen and the desktop screen background with our custom background we downloaded. We're going to discuss how to set up RetroPie to run automatically on startup. We're going to discuss why we should copy the RetroPie setup folder to a schedule scale folder, just in case the user does decide to install Zorin directly to the hard drive. And then we're going to discuss how to create the ISO and burn the file to the flash drive, and also discuss why we should burn it with Rufus using Windows to add persistent file storage. So, without further ado, let's get started. First of all, we're going to talk about how to install Qubit. To install Qubit on Ubuntu 18.04 and newer, you're going to run the following commands one by one in our terminal application. You're going to add the Qubit wizard release branch repository. You're going to add the public key for that particular repository. Then you're going to run app update and then app install Qubit, and I'll show you a screen recording showing you exactly how that's done. Alright, so let's add our repository. We're going to type in sudo app add repository cpa colon qubit dash wizard / release. We're going to type in our password so we can run a command as root using sudo. And we're just going to press enter to continue adding the repository. Alright, that didn't take long at all. We're going to run sudo app dash key adv double dash key server hard to see there. I think I typed keyserver.ubuntu.com. double dash keys. We're going to add the public key for this particular repository. So we can make sure the software packages did indeed come from this repository without being altered. Bear with me, it's a long key. Maybe next time I'll just paste it. Alright, now that we installed the necessary prerequisite packages for Qubit, we're going to make sure they are up to date so that we're working with the latest source files available to us and the latest binaries. So now we're going to type in sudo app update and double ampersand sudo app upgrade, and this process won't take long to run. Excuse me. We're going to type in our password so we can run this command as root or root privileges. We're now going to install Qubit by typing sudo app install Qubit. We're going to confirm our choice by typing Y. And I believe this command can take a little bit over a minute and a half. So I'm going to fast forward a wee bit. Almost done installing Qubit. We are done. Now moving on. Now just to give you a quick overview of what we need to do next, we need to start Qubit and basically just select the project directory in which we're going to store our modified ISO, and then we need to download the ISO that we're going to modify. And then what Qubit is going to do is it's going to locate important files and extract them from the original ISO so that we can modify them inside Qubit's virtual environment. And we're about to see screen recordings of that being done. Alright, so let's start Qubit. We're gonna click on the Z here. We're gonna just type Qubit and click on Qubit. Alright, now we're going to click on the photo icon here to create a working directory to hold all extracted ISO. Bear with me here, we're going to create a folder called Qubit. I can just learn how to type today. I'm making a folder called Qubit. And now we're going to make another folder called RetroPie. And then we're going to click on the select button to make that our working directory. Alright, now that is all we can do. So now we're going to download the ISO that we're going to modify. Zorin 16.3 core. We're going to go to www.zorinos.com in our Firefox web browser. That is actually going to redirect us to zorin.com/os/. Either address is correct, but it might be safer to just go to zorin.com/os. We're going to click on the download button in the upper right hand corner. We're going to scroll down to Zorin OS 16.3 core, which is a free download. It does take a while to download. Now that we have informed Qubit where we would like to store the project file for our project, we're going to click on Next in the upper right hand corner. And what we do now is we're going to browse to the Zorin ISO that we just downloaded by clicking on this photo icon right here, and then browsing and selecting the downloaded ISO. And now what we're going to do is we're going to customize our file name here by deleting the date and adding plus RetroPie, so we know that this is the ISO that we created that has RetroPie added to it. And then we're also going to customize the disk name toward the bottom of the screen by removing the date and substituting the word RetroPie for the word custom. And we're just going to look this over for a second, and then we're going to click on Next. You can customize your ISO however you like, specify your own version numbers, whatever you would like to do. Once you're satisfied, you can just click on Next. And what Qubit does at this point is analyze the original ISO. It copies important files from the original disk image or ISO, and it extracts the compressed file system contained within the disk ISO image, and it copied those uncompressed files to your project folder so that you can modify them in Qubit's virtual terminal, customize them however you like, as you will see in approximately 30 seconds. Alright, we're now presented with Qubit's virtual environment terminal, and we're presented with a root prompt. Now that we successfully extracted the ISO to a temporary file system within our working folder, we're now going to we'll log into the virtual environment as root. Since we're logged in as root, we do not need to use the sudo command. We're just going to go ahead and run @app-upgrade @update to update the packages to the latest versions that were released since the ISO was created. This process does take about 5.5 minutes to run, so I'm gonna just fast forward it through this screen recording here. Um, It's interesting to note at the end of the update and upgrade process that there were errors involving two packages, and those two packages are zsys and crypt. I googled the error involving zsys, and it seems that zsys is just a packet that runs in the live environment only. It's a non-fatal error. It won't affect anything you do in this tutorial. And the crypt error that say that it cannot locate one of the partitions in the main hard drive. I thought that was a strange error. I googled it and could not find any reference to it. It could have been the cause of where Secure Boot thought that the hard disk was being tampered with. I do not know. I simply just cannot explain what it means. I could not find a reference to it on Google. But here we are. We're going to move on with the tutorial. Just to give you an overview of the next step, we're now going to be installing the software known as OBS, which stands for Open Broadcasting Software. We're going to add the repository for the OBS project /OBS-Studio. And then we're going to install the software. But please note that because we are root, we do not actually need the sudo command as shown on this slide. And here is the screen recording showing that being done. Alright, so here is the screen recording showing us adding the repository for OBS. We're going to press enter to continue. And this process does take about 2 minutes. And now we're going to run sudo apt install OBS-Studio. And this process does take about 1.5 minutes, so I'm just going to fast forward through this screen recording. You will probably see errors that zsys cannot be opened, something like that. You can safely disregard any errors pertaining to zsys. Alright, and now we successfully installed OBS Studio. So now you can use that to record any games you play on the RetroPie in case you want to upload your game playing skills to YouTube. Alright, we're coming along pretty good. Um, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing during the next 2 screens, we're going to, first of all, set the root password with the password command, because even though you can Google what is the default password for this live distribution, sometimes what you find may not always be correct. And since we're in the virtual environment creating our very own ISO, we might as well change the root password with the password command. We're just going to make sure that the host, etc. host file does contain the name Jordan. We're going to make sure that the etc. host file does contain a localhost entry 127.0.0.1 with the host name being associated as, Cuba. The reason why is because I think when I try to log in as the user we're about to create, I kept getting an error message from Qubit saying that could not locate the host Qubit. So that's how I went about fixing that particular issue. Then we're going to use the user add -m command to create a user called player_1, and the reason why is because RetroPie explicitly states in its instructions that it cannot be installed as the root user. And if you do install RetroPie as the root user, even though you might copy the RetroPie directory to the schedule scale directory, for Jordan to use as a live USB user, your players are gonna have issues because it's gonna say controller not configured every time you run a game. So this is why we're creating a user specifically to install and run RetroPie. After we create the user, we're going to change into player_1's home directory by using the cd/home/player1 directory. We're going to we're going to set player_1 password with a password command. I personally recommend setting the password to 1, simply because that'll be easy for your users to remember. Then we're going to give player_1 user the ability to run sudo command by typing usermod space dash a capital G space sudo space player_1, and then finally, after we give him player_1 the ability to run sudo command, we're going to log in the virtual environment as player_1 by typing su space -l space player_1. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing next. Alright, so without further ado, let's set the root password. We're going to type password, PASSWD. We're going to set the new password for root. I recommend RetroPie with a capital R and P in this particular case, but you can change it to whatever you want to. Just make sure it's something easy for you to remember. Okay, now we're going to modify the //host file. We're going to type in the address for localhost 127.0.0.1. We're going to tab over and type in qubit to avoid that error that I described to you guys earlier. We're going to save the file. Alright. Okay, so now we're going to create a new user with user add-m player_1. We're going to set the password for player_1, in this particular case to just the word 1 in lowercase. And we're going to give this user the ability to run sudo commands with the usermod command. Give me a second while I look it up. I believe it's usermod dash a capital G sudo player_1, and now we're going to log in as player1 with su-l player_1. And as you can see, our prompt change to show that we're logging in as player_1. It changed to the $sign. Alright, just to give you an overview of what we're going to be doing next, we're going to do the next step, which is install the prerequisite software for RetroPie. To do that, we're going to make sure all the packages are up to date and upgraded for the requirements of RetroPie to improve our chances of success in installing it. This time, we're going to run sudo app update $sudo app upgrade because we are logged in as the user player_1. We're no longer the root user. We're going to confirm our authorization to download the update by typing in the password we created during installation of this during creation of this user, which is going to be 1. We're going to press Y to confirm our choice if we're asked. Then we're going to run sudo app install _y get dialog unzip XML starlet. Those are 4 packages we will install. If we receive an error message, which I might just go ahead and add the repository anyway, we're going to, excuse me, we're going to run sudo add-apt-repository universe and then run the command just to make sure we don't get any error messages trying to install those packages. So let's carry on. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and add the universe repository. We're typing in the password of 1 for player 1. We're going to, it's already added in this particular situation. Excuse me. Let me refer back to my notes here. Alright, we're going to add in the prerequisite that we need for RetroPie. And as you can see, that doesn't take long at all. Alright, now we're finally ready to download and install RetroPie. We're going to use the get package that we just installed. We're going to type get clone --dept equals 1. We're going to pass in the address at the GitHub repository, which is https://github.com/retropie/retropie-setup.get to obtain the latest setup script and copy of RetroPie. Excuse me. Then we're going to change into the directory that we just cloned by typing in cd retropie-setup, and then we're going to run the RetroPie setup script as root by typing in sudo /retropie_setup.sh. We're going to press enter and it's going to load a text-based GUI or graphical user interface. We're going to select the basic install command. This will download and compile the various source code for emulators and other components that make up RetroPie. My machine, I believe this took about 35 minutes. At the end of the process, I think I did, the first time, I think I did receive an error involving LR dash caprice 32, which I believe was just pre-configured controller configuration, but I can't remember now what that was about. But if you don't get the error message, that's fine, that's okay, because it was probably resolved with the latest version of the RetroPie script. So we're going to move on to the screen recordings here. Alright, now comes the fun part. We are going to download the source code from the GitHub repository for RetroPie by using the git clone command. That doesn't take long at all. Now we're going to change into the RetroPie-setup directory. So we can run the setup script. We're going to type in cd retropie-setup and hit enter. And now we're going to run the setup script at the root user by issuing the sudo /retropie_setup.sh command. And that's just going to download and install a few necessary components. I'm assuming to display the text graphical user interface we're about to see in 2 to 3 minutes. We're just gonna fast forward a little bit to the screen recording. Alright, here we are. We can dismiss that notice that just say they want to know. We're going to hit basic install. We're going to select yes. Now this process does take about 35 to 40 minutes to install all the necessary source code for RetroPie and RetroArch and the controllers and that good stuff. For the purposes of saving time, I'm going to fast forward through the screen recording so we can get to the next fun part of this tutorial. So as you can see, the developers of RetroPie, there's quite a few thousand users that work on it. They do a good job. They contribute millions of lines of code. RetroPie is supposed to be safe to use because there's several 100,000 users reading over the source code and editing it. Trying to make it better for people like you and me to enjoy. Alright, and as we can see, once the setup completes, we're taken back to the GUI. Um, and let's see what we can do from here. Now that we successfully installed RetroPie, you can actually go ahead and play with RetroPie if you wish. All you need to do is is plug in a compatible gamepad or game controller. Um, One suggestion would be the Logitech F310. That's what I use and recommend. You can also use an Xbox 360 or an Xbox One controller. That's compatible with RetroPie as well. For other compatible controllers, you're more than welcome to consult the RetroPie, the official RetroPie website, which you can find in the reference section at the end of this video. I just want to talk about briefly what game console emulators are included with RetroPie by default. That does include the Atari 2600, the Sega Genesis, which is also known as the Sega Mega Drive. I think in European nations, it includes the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, as well as the MAME emulator, which runs various arcade games. Alright, now we're going to talk about how to install the PlayStation emulator, um, known as PCSS-rearmed. Um, what we're going to do is we're going to change back into the RetroPie dash setup directory if we need to, and we're going to rerun the RetroPie setup script if we need to. Otherwise, if we're still in the menu, we're going to just select manage packages. Um, we're going to select op, which is manage optional packages. Then we're going to select IR dash, no, I'm sorry, LR dash PCSS dash rear med or rearm, however you want to read it. Rearm sounds a lot nicer. And then we're just going to select install from source, and we're going to confirm that we want to install by highlighting yes, and I will show you that in the following screen recording. Alright, so we're still in manage packages here. And we are going to start installing the PlayStation emulator. Going on to manage packages. We're going to select opt for manage optional packages. And we're going to scroll down to LR all the way at the bottom. here it is. We're going to just hit enter to select that package, and we're going to select install from source. We're going to confirm our choice. This takes actually just about under a minute to download the sources and install. It doesn't take long at all. We just want to fast forward just a little bit. Here we go. Once it's finished installing, it takes us back to the text graphical user interface. We can just go back and go back again and go back again, and we're at the main menu. And now in just a few seconds, we're going to talk about how to install the Sega Dreamcast emulator. Since we are already in the RetroPie setup script, we're already running it, we're just going to select Manage Packages, Manage Experimental Packages, EXP Manage Experimental Packages, and we're going to select Redream and install from binary and confirm our choice, as you'll see in the following screen recording. Alright, so we are about to install the Sega Dreamcast emulator known as Redream. We're going to select Manage Packages, EXP Manage Experimental Packages, and here I do scroll down all the way to the bottom to see if we have a RetroArch version of the Redream emulator, and that's always recommended to install the RetroArch version of the emulator if it's available. Okay, so I'm scrolling down looking for it, and I don't see it, so I'm going to scroll back up the list and just install the emulator known as Redream. Here we are, we're going to install it from the binary. We're going to confirm our choice. It doesn't take 30 seconds to install, okay? And then this time, we are actually going to exit the RetroPie setup script to go back to the command prompt so we can install the prerequisites required for the Gamecast and Wii emulator. And more on that in a few seconds. Alright, in order to install the Nintendo GameCube and Nintendo Wii emulator, which is the exact same emulator, we do need to upgrade this image's version of GCC from version 9 to General C compiler version 11. And in order to do that, we need to basically install all of these prerequisites. Here is the repository we're going to have to add, which is going to be okirby/qt6-backports, and then we're going to run the update command. We're going to also run the sudo apt-upgrade in case we need to upgrade any packages, and we're going to install the following packages, which is required, to upgrade the GCC compiler to version 11. We're going to install build-essential, git, which we already have that installed. We're going to install cmake, ffmpeg, libavcodec-dev, libavformat-dev, libavutil-dev, libwscale-dev, libevdev-dev, libusb-1.0-0-dev, libxrandr-dev, libxi-dev, libpangocaro-1.0-0 qt6-base-private-dev, libqt6-svg6-dev, libbluetooth-dev, libasound2-dev, libpulse-dev, libgl1-mesa-dev, and libcurl4-openssl-dev. And the very last package that I just read, you're better off to install that separately. And then proceed to the next step. We're going to run sudo. Oh, by the way, the command, we are not the root user, so we do need to prepend the sudo command, sudo, to run those commands at the root user, or with root privileges, I should say. Then we should run sudo apt install libudev-dev, libsystemd-dev, double pipe, sudo apt install, libeudev, I think, -dev. And you're going to see all the commands on the following screen recordings in case my giant face is blocking part of that command for you. Sorry about that. Now, before we show the actual screen recording, we do have some more prerequisites to install, and I'm just going to show you the slide for that, and then I'm going to show you the commands we're going to run to actually install the GCC compiler version 11, and how to set that compiler to be the system-wide default, so that we can compile the GameCube and Wii emulator with no issue. Because otherwise, if you don't have at least GCC 11, you're going to have issues installing that emulator. And since GameCube has really cool graphics as far as Metroid and quite a few Zelda games installed, it's very well worth your time to install the GameCube and Wii emulator, excuse me. Okay, we're going to run the sudo apt install build-essential manpage-dev software-property-common. Then we're going to add a repository with a sudo add-apt-repository ppa:/ubuntu-toolchain-r/test. So that's the repository we're going to add. Then we're going to run the sudo apt update command and maybe sudo apt upgrade, we'll see. And then we're going to install GCC-11 and G++-11. Both of those are required. We're going to update the, we're going to remove the previous GCC compiler settings. I think that's the purpose of that command, by running update-alternatives --remove-r cpp. I had to run that command because otherwise it wouldn't let me set GCC 11 as the default. Then we're just going to update the alternatives with the following command that you see there: update-alternative --install. And we're just going to pass those parameters that you see on the slide. You'll see those on the screen recording as well. It's quite a bit to type, so if you want to just find a reference site where I copied and pasted from, and the reference slide at the end of the video, you can do that, and it'll be easier to just copy and paste. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna try to include that in the video description so you can copy and paste it there as well. So just look in the description, it should be there if I don't forget. And then we're just gonna confirm that we did install GCC and G++ version 11 before we install install the GameCube and Wii emulator. So onward to the screen recordings. Alright, y'all, we got quite a bit of work to do before we can install the GameCube and Wii emulator. Here are the screen recordings showing the commands we're going to use to install GCC and G++ version 11. We're going to add the repository and perform an upgrade there. We're pressing enter to confirm our choice. This doesn't take long at all, about 15 seconds about so. Now that we installed the repository that we need, we're going to install the prerequisite that we mentioned on the previous slides. I'm going to press enter to confirm my choice. This takes about a minute or so. Okay. Bear with me, let me consult my notes here. Alright, we're finally ready to install C11. Almost done, we can get to the good part soon. We're just gonna copy and paste the command to configure GCC in just a few minutes. About a minute left to go, y'all. Alright. About halfway done installing these packages. We're going to configure it in just a few seconds. We're removing the previous setting for the C++ compilers here. Otherwise, you get an error message if you do not complete this step. Okay. We're configuring the GCC, G++9 compilers, and then we're going to do the same thing for version 11, making that the prominent version in the system, or the default version. Alright, so now we're ready to install the Nintendo GameCube and Wii emulator. We are going to have to rerun the RetroPie underscore setup.sh script, and then we're going to go to manage packages and back to manage experimental packages, and this time we are going to scroll down to lr-dolphin. I know the slides say differently, but we're going to install it from source, confirm our choice, and then we'll be able to play Nintendo GameCube and Nintendo Wii ROMs. Alright. Alright. Now that we have the prerequisites for the GameCube emulator installed, we are going to rerun the RetroPie setup script. So sudo //retropie setup. No, retropie _setup.sh. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to go to manage packages, manage experimental packages. We're going to scroll down until we find LR-Dolphin. That is the, I think the libretro-arch version, which is the preferred version that RetroPie recommends you run. We're going to install from source. This took me about 18 minutes to do. So it should probably take a similar amount of time for y'all. I'm just going to fast forward through the screen recording here so we can move on with the tutorial. Alright, and once the emulator is installed, you're taken back to the text graphical user interface. And in just a few minutes, I think we are going to talk about how to configure the controller before you play a GameCube game, because that's the only console that I'm aware of that you do have to configure the controller. It's not done for you. The configuration isn't passed automatically until you run the following command, which I'm about to tell you about in just a few seconds. I'm gonna back up here, and we're going to exit the setup script. Alright, by default, GameCube does use the keyboard. Of course, that is not a lot of fun, especially when you're playing Metroid Prime. You must configure the various controller before you start emulation session by running /opt/retropie /emulators/dolphin/dolphin-emu, and then choosing controller from the graphical user interface before launching emulation station. And I'm about to show you a screen recording with that being done. Alright, as you can see here, I have my trusty Logitech F310 gamepad connected to the computer through the USB port. Now we're going to open up Terminal. We can type in Terminal, or we can press Control-Alt-T. Okay, now we're going to run the command to configure the controller to use with our GameCube. I think it's add-apt-repository. Emulators, Dolphin, Fine, Dolphin, EMU. It loads. Now, as you can see here, you see a menu freeboot icon. The controller on the rightmost side of the screen. You just touch controllers, and in port 1, you have the standard controller. So I'm just gonna hit configure here, and when you first start this up, it's gonna be set here to the virtual core pointer. But after so you're just going to make sure here your gamepad is selected in the upper left hand corner where it says device, okay? And then you're going to click each of these buttons here, and you're going to press the corresponding key on your gamepad. So I'm going to hit, whoops, I didn't do it quite in time. I'm going to hit A. I already configured because I've done it before, I think. B. Okay. You come down here and you configure your axis here. You touch the button, then you push the corresponding button on your gamepad. Let's see here. And then as soon as you're finished configuring everything to your liking, you just hit the close button. And you can just exit this out here, upper right hand corner. And you can exit this program, and then you can run emulation station. And you hit enter, and your RetroPie menu will load. Okay, but enough about that. For the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to move on. Alright, before we move on to discussing how to download game ROMs and how to install those ROMs into the correct corresponding folders underneath RetroPie in the ROM folder, and where to download ROM from, you should be made aware that downloading ROM to a game or games you do not own is illegal. You are only allowed legally to download ROM to a game that you own a physical copy of, such as the original game cartridge or the actual physical CD that you purchased from a retailer like Walmart or Target or what have you. You should also be aware that various users on Reddit and forums like Quora, they're all the time asking for what websites are safe to download game ROM from. I have downloaded game ROM from romsgames.net, and I scanned them with Bitdefender. I didn't receive any hits as far as viruses go. It seems to be a safe site to use. I haven't experienced any negative effects that I'm aware of, other than the one test user who used the live USB flash drive. She said that after she used it a couple of times, secure boot required the Bitdefender password to boot up into Windows, because apparently the security configuration changed, or maybe the program illegally tried to access her hard drive, or maybe she accidentally clicked on her hard drive when using File Manager inside the environment. So generally speaking, downloading ROMs and malware from different sites are a good source of viruses and malware. So you really want to keep that in mind when downloading ROMs and things of that nature. Alright, to download ROMs, you just open up your favorite web browser and go to http://www.romsgames.net/. Then you click on the video game console of your choice. Then you click on the game of your choice. If a pop-up ad appears, it seems you can safely click on close. Then you'll look for the green save game button, usually on the right hand side of the screen. The RetroPie documentation that you can find on the reference slide on the end of this video basically say that if the game is a MAME or arcade game, just leave the zip file as is. Just copy the compressed file to the arcade folder underneath the RetroPie ROMs folder, and just leave it as is. And in this case, you would just copy the uncompressed file to home/player_1/retropie/roms/arcade, or otherwise, for other types of games, nearly every other game besides the arcade game, you actually uncompress decompress folder. Um, you don't even copy the root folder name or whatever. You just copy the ROM, just dumping them into the appropriate folder. Okay. Um, so in this case, if the game is a Super Nintendo game, you just copy the contents of the compressed folder to, or extract the contents of the compressed folder to home slash player underscore one slash retropie slash rom slash SNES, and that's all there is to it. If you need help, just consult the documentation, and I'm sure you can find other videos online. Okay, since we successfully installed RetroPie and all the RetroPie emulators we're going to use for this tutorial, what we need to do is type the exit command, EXIT, to log out of the player underscore one account to become the root user again. And now we are going to copy the RetroPie setup folder to the schedule /etc /skel folder, because that is the folder that Ubuntu will use should the user decide to permanently install your live USB media to the hard disk for permanent and more faster access and more faster, easier use of use. And see, if they create a new user, then in order to use RetroPie successfully, they will have to install RetroPie under the user that they create. Alrighty, very easy to copy photos and files to your custom Linux distribution ISO. You simply, preferably you select the files and folders in your favorite file manager. You just right click on them and left click on copy from the pop-up context menu, or you can just hit Control C. Um, then inside the Keep It Virtual environment, which is the environment we've been working, inside this whole time, you just make sure you're in the destination folder that you want the files or folders to be copied to, and then you simply right click inside the virtual environment and left click on paste. Then in the upper right hand corner, you're going to see a blue button that says copy. You're going to left click on that button, and then the files and folders will be copied to their destination. So simple. Alright, now we're going to talk about how to add the wallpaper that we are about to download so that we can have a custom login screen as well as a custom background for the users or friends or for ourselves, whoever we're making this live USB drive for. Um, we're going to, inside the Keep It Virtual environment, we're going to change to the /USR, which is short for user, /share/backgrounds. And then, of course, we're going to either drag the images into the terminal window, or, just mention this, or just perform the step that we mentioned previously in the previous slide by copying the selected files in the file manager that we use and pasting them into the virtual environment terminal window using the method described earlier. And I have on the slide that we add the wallpapers inside an XML file under the /user share gnome background properties, background typing properties. Um, I don't think I actually made a screen recording of doing that, but that is how you would add those wallpapers as choices from the background selection menu in Jorin. So that method does work. I just don't think I made a screen recording of it. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to download the images that we're going to use for the wallpaper for our two screens. I'm just inserting the reference slide there to try to remember what images we're going to use. So we're going to public domain pictures.net. They do have a wide variety of pictures that you're welcome to use in your YouTube videos. And personal and commercial project, just be sure to make a note of the license as I'm going to demonstrate to you in a few seconds. Here we search for our chessboard and we found one. As you can see, we scroll down, and if you can make a note of the license there, it's public domain, and it tells you exactly what you can use the image for. So we're going to click on free download for the free image. And we are going to right click on that photo and save image as, and I believe we save it as a chessboard in this particular instance here. And later when we actually add it into the virtual environment, a little bit later, we're going to change the name so we can add the author as another way to give the author credit. We're going to go back to the same website, public domain pictures.net. And this time we're going to search for, I believe, PlayStation game controller. As you can see, that has some very cool background to choose from. Just be sure not to click on the one that's just an ad by Adobe, or else you're just going to be annoyed. Just scroll on down, and find one of your choice. That looks pretty good. That looks awesome, actually. We're going to make a note of the license, and it is public domain. It's free for our personal and commercial use. You may have to check into further details. Okay, so we're going to click on free download there, and we're going to right click, left click on save image as, and I think this one we save as PlayStation game controller. We'll rename that later to include the author's name as well. Alright, and now I'm going to show you how to copy the background we just downloaded into the Qubit virtual environment to be included with our custom Ubuntu distribution. We're going to change into the directory we mentioned earlier, user/share/background, because this is our destination folder for the file we are about to copy into the virtual environment. Now we're going to go to our file manager here, and we're going to select both of the backgrounds we just downloaded. We're going to, by holding down shift, and then we're going to right click and left click on copy. We're going back to the Qubit virtual environment terminal, and we're going to right click and left click on paste files. Then we're going to click copy in the upper right hand corner there. And that is all there is to it. And then you're taken back to the virtual environment. Alright, before we actually change the desktop and lock screen wallpapers, we're going to get to discuss briefly what commands are used to view the current MLL image URL for the background and screensaver. If we don't actually change the screensaver in this tutorial, you just use the G settings space get space org dot gnome dot desktop dot background space picture hyphen URI. That lets you view the background file location, and then to see the screensaver image file location, you just type G setting get org.gnome.desktop.screensaver, and you pass the picture-URI parameter. Alright, here we are about to view the current background settings. As mentioned on the previous slide, okay. And as you can see, we've already copied our backgrounds into the directory we want to work with. And what I'm about to do here is I'm about to rename the background to include the author's name. So as you can see, the PlayStation game console is done by Victoria Board-Nova. That's been changed accordingly. Right? And Mrs. Langover did the chessboard. And I'm just checking this directory. There's no need to perform this step. I was just curious to see what was underneath it. And now that we know how to view the file locations and the files that are used for the background, this is how we change them. We just edit the global settings by typing nano/usr/share/glib -2.0/schemas/true5_zorin -os-default-settings.gschema.override and we change the following paths underneath org.gnome.desktop.background. We're going to change it to read file : 3//usr/share/PlayStation-game-console.jpg, but we're going to change that just a wee bit to include the author's name. Then underneath the section labeled org.gnome.login screen, we're going to change that to read, we're going to read the picture URI to read file : 3//usr/share backgrounds, slash chessboard.jpg, little change there to include the author. Then you save the file like normal. I believe in Nano you press Control O and you confirm your new file name. You save it, you exit. Then you're going to compile that text file with the following command: glib-compile-schemas. You pass the parameter where the file is stored /usr/share/glib-2.0/schemas followed by a trailing slash. And you're going to see all this in the screen recording that follows in just a second. Alright, now we're going to change our background using the command that we just saw on the previous slide. Okay, we save our changes. And I noticed I misspelled the author's name. I'm making that correction there. Save our changes again. Alright, now we're going to see a screen recording on how to compile the new schema that record the background changes. As you can see, that was very simple. Alright, now let's discuss what we need to do if we would like to say, for instance, have RetroPie startup on startup, or any other program that we choose. Basically, what we will do is we will create an executable shell script to launch the program, and we're going to save our shell script in the op directory because that directory is accessible to all users. So we're going to type nano/op/run_me.sh. We're going to include the path to bash, which in our case and most other cases is going to be the hashtag exclamation mark / the hashtag and the exclamation mark is known as shebang. So hashtag exclamation mark /bin /bash. And then the next line, I just put a comment, which is also denoted by a hashtag. And that just reminds you entering in the full path of the program to run. I can't remember if I actually left the comment in the screen recording or not. So then in our case, we're going to type in /user /bin /emulation station, because that's the full path to launch emulation station. And then we're going to give our shell script executable permission by all users by running chmod space plus s space /run_me.sh. And then we're going to change into player_1's home directory if we're not there already by typing cd/home/player_1 and hitting enter. And if the directory does not exist, we're going to use the make directory command, mkdir.config, okay? And then we're going to change into, we're also going to make a folder called autostart underneath that directory if it doesn't exist. And then we're going to change into .config/autostart directory. And, hold on, let me think a minute. Oh, and we're going to create a file that's called run_me.desktop. And we're going to, modify the contents of the desktop file. And I will show you that in just a second. Alright, the contents of run_me.desktop will be in the .config /autostart directory of your home directory for player 1 will read as follow. Left bracket, desktop entry, right bracket. Then you'll have type equals application, name equals emulation station, comment, just a reminder of what the program does, runs RetroPie emulation station, exec equals /op/run_me.shell. That's the script we just created. That will actually run the script. We put terminal equal true to let the operating system know that the program does run in the terminal. And hidden equals false. We put false because we want the window to be visible. And we save the contents of that file. And I think a screen recording is next, showing these steps being done. Alright, here's the screen recording showing the commands on the previous slide being executed. We're just confirming the path to emulation station here by typing which emulation station. As you can see, we confirmed the path to emulation station to be user/bin/emulation station. And now we're going to create our shell script that will actually launch the emulation station program. It's going to be located in the op directory, which again is accessible to all users. So we're going to call our script run_me.sh. And we include the path to bash and the path to emulation station here. We save our changes. We're going to make our shell script executable here by typing in chmod plus s plus the full path to our shell script here. Now it's executable by all users. Now we're going to change into player_1's home directory. Oh no, excuse me, I'm sorry. We're going to log in as player_1 here by typing in su-l player_1. Now we're automatically in the home directory as we confirmed by the pwd command. And we're just going to verify that the .config directory already exists, and I believe it does. So we're going to change into that directory by typing in cd.config. And now the autostart directory already exists, so we're going to change into that directory as well, cd.config. cd space auto start. And now we're going to create our rummy.desktop file. If you want an easy template, just copy your an existing desktop file to a new file, and you can change it as needed. But in our particular case, we are just going to create the desktop file from scratch. And we're just going to paste the contents of the command we had in the previous slide there. So as you can see, it's very easy to create a .desktop file to help launch a program. And I'm just confirming that the file has proper permissions and ownership. And it does. Alright. Once you get your custom Ubuntu environment like you want it, you have the ISO like you want it, you just simply click continue in the upper right hand corner, and then you will actually exit the Qubit virtual environment terminal. Qubit will then analyze the new proposed ISO and automatically configure options by identifying the boot kernels, boot configuration, process files, install packages, and creating the package manifest for typical and minimal install as scheduled. Then you do have the option to choose which packages will be automatically removed for a minimal install, but I always just leave that screen at its default. I don't uncheck anything. And those files will be removed from the custom ISO to save space. On the next screen, you will see in Qubit when you click next, you will be asked to select the kernel that will be used to boot the Ubuntu Live CD under the ISO kernel tab. You can then update, add, or delete the preseed used to boot the kernel under the preseed tab, and then you can configure the boot menu entries in the ISO boot tab and click next. I always just leave all of those at default. There's no need to change anything. Just keep the process simple by leaving everything at default here. Once you click next, you will be presented with the create a custom live CD, DVD, flash drive image. The first step on this screen is you're going to choose a compression algorithm. It's listed in order from the largest file size, but the fastest image creation time, and the very last compression algorithm present the smallest file size, but it takes the longer to create that particular image. So you have LG4, which is the largest file size, LGO, GZIP, ZSTD, LGMA, and SZ. Once you choose the compression algorithm of your choice, you're going to click the generate button, and then you're going to click on finish. Finally, Qubit is going to display information about the newly created ISO, such as the name and file size on disk, so you'll know which medium will be having a storage space for you to burn the image on. Then at the bottom, as you can see, you can check a box to do optional cleanup, which deletes all of the unnecessary files other than the ISO from the disk to save your disk space on your hard disk drive. However, I personally would not recommend checking the box in case you want to make changes or add additional programs or wallpaper to the image later. And then you can just open up Qubit and go to your working project directory, make any changes you need to, and then reburn the image. So I personally would not do the optional cleanup. Alright, so here is the screen recording showing the previous command being executed here. As you can see, we clicked on next and we exited the virtual terminal. Here are the optional packages that we can remove. I just leave everything at the defaults. Again, I just leave these options at the default here. At the precede and the boot configurations you can choose from, but just leave them at the default there. Now click next. Okay, here are the compression algorithms you can choose from. Remember, XZ is the smallest file size, and the one at the top is the largest file size. Since I'm personally burning to a flash drive and want the fastest creation time, I just choose that and click next. And this will take about a little bit, about 3.5 minutes here. It's copying the file we added to the ISO. It's compressing the image, all that good stuff. It's creating the boot configuration file. We need to be able to plug in that flash drive or medium and boot right off the medium into our own operating system. So thank you, Jesus, for the inventors of Qubit, because this is just awesome. It's been fun. This whole RetroPie Live USB project and just using Qubit in general. Making this video has been cool too. It's like we got about 2.5 more minutes here. I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, save time in this video. Alright, so as you can see, it's done. We have the option to delete the project file, but we're just not going to check the box. We're going to click on done here. Now that we created our ISO, we're going to talk about how to burn the ISO to a CD or flash drive. If you want to burn it to a CD, simply right click on the file and left click on open with Browser. If you're using Ubuntu, which you probably are, or Zorn. Also, if you want to just burn it to a flash drive or SD card, you basically follow the same method either way. You use the lsblk command to determine what device the USB or SD card is mounted as. In this particular case, or usually the flash drive will be mounted as /dev /sdb. You're going to make sure the flash drive is unmounted by typing sudo umount /dev /sdb asterisk. Then it'll probably say something like the device is already unmounted. You're going to format it using the sudo mkfs.vfat space -l space /dev /sdb. I think that's an L. It could be an I, but I think it's an L. And then after that's done, that usually only takes a few seconds. Then you're going to type sudo dd space bs, which stands for block size. Bs equals 4 capital M 4 megabytes. You're going to type in if, which is short for input file, equals, and the name of the file name. Just make sure the extension is .iso, as you see in that example there. Then you're going to type of, which is output file, equals and the device that we're copying or burning the image to. In this case, it's /dev /sdb. We're going to follow that with a space. Our status equals progress, so we can see a printout of the progress as the disk is written to. Otherwise, you're not going to see a progress. You just won't see another command prompt until the command completes. Okay, y'all. Now, I have not used Rufus under Windows to burn this particular ISO to a flash drive to allow persistent storage, but it should work, as I have burned other Linux distributions using Rufus before, such as actually Clonezilla and I believe Kaspersky antivirus to a USB flash drive using the persistent storage option available. On Rufus, which you run under the Windows 10 platform. So I'm reasonably confident that if you burn this ISO using Rufus under Windows, you will have persistent storage. And what that basically means is you can download additional ROMs, additional files, and it will be saved permanently, okay? Alright, and I believe next I'm going to show you the references slide. Alright, y'all, here's the references slide. These are basically all the websites that I visited to answer my questions about how to accomplish various tasks. They were very educational. Some helped me resolve certain error messages. But these are very cool. One important reference I strongly suggest you check out is the documentation for RetroPie. Oh, it's very cool. It's very easy to enable cheats on the RetroPie. It's like having your own personal game journey built in. Just see the link referencing that. But anyway, just go to retropie.org.uk/docs. And that's all the information you need that you probably ever want to know on RetroPie and how to use it. But anyway, God bless y'all. Thank y'all for taking the time to watch this tutorial. Please subscribe and tell your friends about it. If you have any questions, I think I'm going to make another RetroPie video that just shows how to install it and more about how to install the games. But if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to leave a comment or perhaps email me at davysouthernboy@gmail.com. God bless y'all. Have a good day.